Hi everyone. Sorry I can't be in class today. I would much rather be there with you than at home. But I thought that we could still do our experiments together, and hopefully this will work out as this video. So we're going to start, we're starting Module 3, which is all about documenting and interpreting experimental results. So we're going to be doing some experiments and we're going to be documenting those results. So we're going to start with experiment 3.1. And in your notebook, your student notebooks, it's in that back lab section on page 423. So open that up right now. And then in our textbook, it is on page 59. So we're going to be doing experiment 3.1, density and a floating egg. And so the helper that you have there in class should help give out the materials for experiment number 1. There might be points where you want to pause this video so that you guys can write in your notebooks your data and your results. I am going to do the whole experiment, so this is going to be a longer video just so that you can kind of do it along with me. But feel free, whoever's helping with the class, to pause it if you need to. Feel free to go forward if you need to. My hope is that whoever's helping with this class won't have to do much. They can just be there to assist. So the purpose of this experiment is to better understand the importance of variables in an experiment while observing how an egg floats in tap water and in salt water. So the materials that we need, that you can see on in your book, is a tall clear glass, a measuring cup that can measure up to 1.5 cups of water, a raw egg, so we have some eggs here, so we need a raw egg, a teaspoon, a spoon for stirring, and water and salt. All right, so all of those should be in the experiment 1 bin for whoever's helping with the class. So the question that we are being asked is, how does an egg float in tap water as compared to how it floats in salt water? We've kind of talked a little bit in the past couple weeks about density and how density can be changed in water by adding salt. We've talked about that already. So knowing what you know about density, you're going to take a minute here and write how you think an egg will float in tap water as compared to how it will float in salt water. So you're going to give your hypothesis here. So if you want to pause the video for just a minute so that everyone has a chance to write in their hypothesis, please do that now. All right, so I'm going to go through this procedure and I'm going to do these steps as they are in the book. Just know that you might want to glance through them first before we start, but you can start with me too. So the procedure is, number 1, fill a tall glass with 1.5 cups of water and use the measuring cup to measure the water. So they want us to be precise. So if there's not enough measuring cups to go around, please share. And there's 1.5 cups of water. All right, you want to come down, make sure you are on level as you're watching it. Sorry that you couldn't see that very well. But anyway, here we have 1.5 cups of water. Carefully place the egg, fill a tall glass with this water. So here. So there's our glass with 1.5 cups of water. All right, so I've readjusted things a little bit, so hopefully you can see this better. So now we're going to carefully place the egg into the glass of water. And once we do this, we're going to write in our notebook whether or not it sinks or floats. So gently place it in. All right. So here in your lab notebook, in data table 3.1, in step 2, note how much salt is in the water and whether the egg floats or sinks. So you're going to note that no salt, egg sank. So write that into your book, pause if we need to. Next it says to use the spoon you have for stirring to pull the egg back out of the glass. So we're going to pull the egg back out of the glass. Try to allow any water still on the egg to drip back into the glass so you don't lose much water. Set the egg aside for a moment. Then it says add 1 teaspoon of salt to the water and stir with your stirring spoon until the salt is dissolved. So we have our iodized salt, just regular table salt. And we're going to take our measuring spoon and we're going to fill it so that we get 1 tablespoon. And if you make a little bit of mess with your salt, make sure we clean up when we're done. So we're going to add the teaspoon of salt, and then we're going to stir it until the salt is all dissolved. So this will probably take a moment. Again, if you're doing it with me, feel free to just keep this going. I'm going to just keep doing this until it dissolves. If you're just watching me, you can fast forward a little bit. All right, there. So the salt is fully dissolved now. So step 5, once the salt is dissolved, carefully place the egg back into the glass of water. We're going to note the difference, if any, between how the egg behaved before and how it behaves this time. All right, so we're going to put it in again. It still went down to the bottom. So here, step 5 in our data table. Step 5, trial 1, note how much salt is in the water and any difference between how the egg behaved before and how it behaved this time. So I would say from what I observed, and again, you might observe something slightly different. You should be writing what you observed. What I observed was that I put in 1 teaspoon of salt, egg sunk to the bottom. It did not behave differently. It seems to be the same as before. So now we're going to, step 6 is repeat steps 3 to 5, a total of 6 times, making the water saltier and saltier. So we're going to use the spoon to get the egg out, try to get as much water to drip off the egg in the spoon, set it aside, add 1 teaspoon. Add 1 teaspoon. And actually I will include a plate that can get thrown out after this that we can pour the salt over so that we're not making a mess on our table. And we're going to do this 6 times. So you can let this video run as I do it, or you can stop it and pause it and just do it with the class. Whatever my great sub would like to do is fine. All right, so now I'm going to, so that was 2 teaspoons. I'm going to put my egg in. Seemed to fall a little bit slower. So in my notebook under step 6, trial 2, note how much salt is in the water, 2 teaspoons, and any difference between how the egg behaved before and how it behaved this time. So it still sank to the bottom, but a little bit slower. So I would write that in my notebook, and I'm going to go do this again, making sure as much water comes off the egg as possible. Adding my salt and stirring. The The water's getting a little bit cloudy with all the salt in it. I'm going to drop my egg again. Oh. So it still sunk to the bottom, but kind of was very slow about it. So this would be, and I'm not writing these down, so this would be 3 teaspoons, sunk, slower. Pull it out again. Again, letting as much water drip back into my cup as possible. Another teaspoon of salt. This will be my 4th. Drop my egg in. Oh, I don't know if you could see that, but it tried to stay up a little bit. So 4th teaspoon, writing in my notebook, sunk, but almost floated. All right, pull it out again. That was trial number 4. Trying to get as much water back in that cup as we can. Getting another teaspoon of salt. Put that in. Stir it up. Right, I'm going to drop the egg in again for my 5th trial, trial number 5. It's still sunk, kind of rolling around. So I would say same as last time. So 5 teaspoons, sunk, same as last time. Alright, adding another teaspoon. This will be my 6th teaspoon. Alright, so let's see the 6th time. Oh, it did sink, but it was sinking very, very slowly. So 6 teaspoons, sunk, but very slowly. Alright, now we have on our chart here, it says repeat if you need more trials to see a difference. I think I need to keep going. I think I need to try it a couple more times. It's definitely something's going on, but I really want to see this thing actually float. I want to see it not hit the bottom. So I'm going to see how many teaspoons of water it's going to take for that to happen. this will be 7 teaspoons of water. You want to come help me for a minute? I've got a little boy quite fascinated with this over here. Come over this way. All right, he's going to help me drop the egg in. You want to? Okay. So take this and just put it gently in the water and then let go. Oh, look at that. That's actually floating now. Right? So before, it had dropped to the bottom, but that's that last teaspoon, that's definitely a floating egg. And if you want to add another teaspoon just to see what happens, that's okay. You can try that too. I think I might here, if y'all are done with this, you can just fast forward. So that was 7 teaspoons. I'm writing in my log here, my data table. It floated. Let's see what happens when we do 1 more teaspoon of salt to see how much it will float.
I'm going to do that. Mom, can I do it?
Yeah, I will let you help me. All right. So I'll put the salt here and I'll let you put it in and stir it, okay? All right. There you go. All right, and then stir it with this guy. Get all the way to the bottom.
Oh, that's cold. Why did you put cold water in it?
Okay, let me help a little bit. The faster we stir it, the faster it dissolves.
I can't eat it.
No, oh, you would not want to drink this water. Super, super salty. All right.
Make it a drain-o.
Oh, not quite all dissolved.
Make it a drain-o. Drain-o.
All right, and then we're going to put in one more time. Let's see if it floats even more. Oh, there you go.
It looks so fat.
It floats even more. All right, very good. Thank
It
you.
looks so fat.
It does. It looks fat when you look at it through the cup of water. So now that we definitely know that it floats, we'll clean everything up. And if the egg has not cracked, which hopefully it hasn't because that would make a mess, we're just going to rinse it off and give it back to your sub. All right, and there's one more thing that you're going to do. So we collected all of our data here. And now if you turn the page, if you wanted to use this, I'm not going to have you fill out this formal lab report form, though if you wanted to use this for your lab report for Module 3, you may. But I do want you to write your conclusion on the next page. So it's on page 427. Write your conclusion, write why you think an egg floats in salt water as compared to tap water, and explain how density plays a role in that. So pause this video, take a few minutes to think about it. You can discuss it with your lab partner. You can talk about it a little bit about how you think density plays a role, and then write a sentence or two as your conclusion, writing why you think the egg floats in salt water as compared to tap and how that relates to density. So now we're going to do experiment 3.2, exploring a flame's oxygen use. And so in your notebook, you're going to be on page 428. In your textbook, it's on page 65. And so the purpose of this experiment is to identify the presence of oxygen in the air. All right, so the materials for this experiment are 3 glass containers of different sizes. So we have a big one, a medium-sized one, and a small one. And we need a tea light, so a very small tea light, a ceramic, glass, or metal pie plate. So here at home I'm using this, but you have a plate you can use also. A stopwatch. I'm going to use this one. I hope to send at least one with this experiment. And a water-filled glass. So here's a glass that's just going to be off to the side that I'm going to fill with some water. And that's just to put our match in when we're done with it. So that's off to the side. So the question we're answering is, how can we observe the presence of oxygen in air? We can't see it. How can we observe that it's actually there? So in your notebook, you're going to write under hypothesis, write what you think will happen to the flame when it is placed under each of the 3 glasses. So we're going to light the flame, and we're going to put a glass, these 3 glasses over it. So take a minute, pause this video, and write in your hypothesis, a sentence or 2, and what you think are going to happen with when the 3 different glasses are put on top. So we're going to start by placing the candle in the center of the pie plate. That. We're going to hold the stopwatch and get ready for timing. So I'm going to change my watch to be in stopwatch format. We're going to light the candle with the match and start the stopwatch as soon as the candle is lit. And drop the match into the water-filled glass. So we're going to take a match. All right. And so while one person lights, the other person will start the stopwatch. I'm doing this all at once, but all right, so we start the stopwatch. After several minutes, we're going to note if the candle's flame has burned out. All right, so we're going to sit here for several minutes. So actually, I'm going to ask you to pause the video, and I want at least 3 minutes of just kind of watching, seeing if the candle's going to blow out on its own. Observe what happened, and then restart the video. So pause it now. All right, so 3 minutes has been up, and we still have a candle with a flame. So we're going to blow it out. All right, and now we're going to move on to the next step. So we're going to light the candle again, and we're going to get our stopwatch ready. And then step 7 is carefully take the smallest glass container and place it upside down over the candle and start the stopwatch as soon as you set the container on the pie plate. All right, I'm actually going to take my stopwatch off this time. So we're going to light the candle. You should be doing this. Lighting the candle. Putting it in your cup of water. We're getting the stopwatch ready. And as soon as I put this over it, my stopwatch is going to start. And we're going to watch what happens. Oh my goodness. Took 3.7 seconds for that flame to go out. So we're going to come over onto our data table, which is on page 429. For step 9, record the time it took for the flame to go out inside the smallest glass. So mine said 3.7 seconds. It's really fast. So 3.7 seconds. Now we're going to now we're going to do steps 5 to 9 again, but with the medium-sized glass. So here's our medium-sized glass. So we're going to take our match again, relight our candle, all right, and I'm ready here with my stopwatch. And go. I'm just going to watch it. And it's out. Oh, I got to stop my stopwatch. It was after 9 seconds that time. So I'm going to write again, record in my data table, step 10. Record the time it took for the flame to go out inside the medium-sized glass. So I would write 9 seconds. And now I'm going to do the same thing again, but for my largest glass. You can probably guess what might happen. Is it going to be longer for it to go out, shorter for it to go out? These are all things you're thinking, but then we're going to actually see. We're going to do the science and actually see what happens. See, I have this water. They go right in there. All right, so I'm ready to start my timer and go. And out. So that took 17 seconds. So I'm going to write in my table again under step 11, record the time it took for the flame to go out inside the largest glass. And that was 17 seconds for me. So I'd write that in. And then we want to clean everything up. And we are going to also turn to the back, the next page. It says results. Write what happened to the candle flame in each glass. So we have our data table, but we want to write it in sentence form as what our results were. And then our conclusions are write why the flame went out when it was under the glasses and why it took different amounts of time to become extinguished. So we're going to pause this video here, take some time to fill out this conclusion. You can draw a picture to go with it. I think drawing pictures is a great way to show what was happening in an experiment. Write a few sentences and draw a picture, and then we'll move on to the next experiment. All right, so now we're going to do the Explore More that is in your textbook on page 68, and you're going to want to also open your notebook to page 88. So here is where we're going to end up filling in what we find out in this Explore More. So the Explore More on page 68 reads, bar graphs are often used to present information from surveys. Take a poll of your friends and family and ask them what their favorite ice cream flavor choice would be if they were given the options of chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla. Then create a bar graph with the flavor types on the x-axis and the number of people on the y-axis. Don't forget to give your graph a title. Okay, so you are going to ask the class. Take a survey of the people in the class right there with you and find out whose favorites are chocolate, strawberry, or vanilla. And I'm going to ask somebody, one of you, to volunteer to come up to the whiteboard and write these things down. So I have a whiteboard here that we are going to use as my example, but you might have slightly different answers for these questions. So I asked my family what their favorite was, and there are 7 people in my family. And so I asked them, and I had 4 whose favorite was chocolate, 1 whose favorite was strawberry, and 2 whose favorite was vanilla. All right, so it wants us to make a bar graph. When we make a bar graph, we're going to make an x-axis and a y-axis. And when you make a graph, I'm going to put this here, the x-axis is always along the bottom, and the y-axis is going up. So here I'm going to draw an x-axis and our y-axis. And along our x-axis, we're going to have our flavors. So I'm going to have chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla. I'm just writing their abbreviations here. And then along our y-axis, we're going to have the number of people. So I'm going to try to make them evenly spaced. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This can go as long as it needs to. And then what you do is you come in and you say, okay, chocolate, I had 4 people whose favorite was chocolate. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to make a line at 4. I'm going to make a little bar so that this shows, and I can maybe color it in, that 4 people like chocolate. I had 1 person that liked strawberry, so I'm going to look at 1, make the mark, and make my bar. And I had 2 people whose favorite was vanilla. So I come to the 2 line up here and fill that in. So that's all we need to do. It's a bar graph that shows us what our information was, so we should label it. So I'm going to label it as favorite ice cream flavors. All right. So you should be able to create one of these on the whiteboard for the rest of the students in your class. And then I want you to, once that's created up there, I want each of you to make that same bar graph and put it in your Explore More box here on page 88 of your notebook. And I almost forgot, we should also label our axes. So across the bottom for where our flavors are, here we should just write flavors. And for our y-axis, we should label number of people. So I'm going to use a pound sign for number, but you can write out number if you want. So there. So we have number of people on our y-axis and our flavors on the x-axis. So for your homework this week, you're going to be reading through the first part of this module. And so this module is going to take 2 weeks, so you will not have a lab report due next week. And so read through that and do your best to do your notebook. And hopefully next week I'll be back. If not, I will definitely try to make another video for you guys so that you continue learning and continue doing these experiments in class. So stay well, stay safe, and hopefully I will be with you next week.